Once fans recover from the stunning twists and surprises of Prime Video's The Lord of the Rings of Power season finale, there will be one question on everyone's minds. When will we get our first taste of Season 2? In a recent interview, Clark highlighted the trip that the characters would take in the next season, as well as providing an inside peek into the process. Here's what we know thus far. To begin, Morfydd Clark's reaction to learning what other people don't know about Rings of Power Season 2, Clark has already indicated that she knows some of Season 2's mysteries. So Weintraub asked her how it felt to know these things ahead of most people. While Clark couldn't reveal anything specific, and most interested fans wouldn't want to know this long in advance, Weintraub inquired how much the cast is taught about their roles at the start of the season's filming. Clark will be stepping foot on set imminently, a prospect she finds extremely thrilling. She responded by saying that the showrunners provide the cast members with the overall character arcs, with the big beats ahead of time, with them learning the bits in between as they go. This sparked a lot of enthusiasm among the actors, as she went on to say, and you can tell when a new script is out because everyone's phones start ringing. Check your iPads, everyone. It's coming. It's coming. So it's good to have a little bit of both, the hysteria of getting a new screenplay and knowing where you're heading, because going in entirely unprepared is extremely daunting, and I believe that if you know too little, it is more difficult to make big choices because you wind up playing things safely to ensure everything makes sense. So it's good that it's not overly secretive. Moving on, what does Morfydd Clark have to say about the Rings of Power Season 2 filming? When asked how long the Season 2 filming would take, Clark replied she wasn't sure, but that the production will have the gift of time after working on the first 2 years. Though the first season was shot in New Zealand, where Peter Jackson shot both The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit trilogies, production for Season 2 has shifted to the United Kingdom. Clark reflected on the location change, noting how all-encompassing the first season's filming was, especially given the COVID-19 pandemic's restrictions. But Season 1 was so unique because we were in New Zealand. There was a pandemic, no one could leave, and we had no other life but the show. That was a wonderful thing to do as an artist, to be able to be we were completely obsessed, and it will never be like that again. I feel exactly that way, which is why this last episode is so thrilling. This was 2 years of effort due to the environment in which it was produced, and it was truly all-consuming in a great manner. Following that, how is Clark returning to the coming sophomore season? Clark was asked whether she thought it would be easier to return for the sophomore season, not just in terms of the technical elements, but also the connection to the characters, as she prepares to begin production on Season 2. While she would not specify whether she thought it would be easier or tougher, Clark did concede that it would be different. She said, "But it also appears like each character is entering Season 2 in a completely different setting than they were in Season 1, which is quite exciting, but certainly it's good to get to know the characters, and I've never spent so much time with a character, and I'm excited to come back to her, because I believe everyone was surprised when we ended filming. We were like, wait, we're no longer filming? It felt like we were going to do this forever, and forever, ever. So I believe everyone has become tired of their personas at this stage." Next up, how does Clark feel while reconnecting to their characters? Though Clark and her co-stars missed their characters, she noted that having the program air weekly kept the tale fresh in their thoughts. While rewatching the episodes may help her remember and reconnect with Galadriel's story, she says she is most able to step back into her character's mindset while writing. "Writing was the most important thing for me in terms of understanding her and feeling like her. I've never written before, and it feels magical. As a result, I've been quite fortunate to return to writing before the start of Season 2, and I believe the horses are a very great gateway into it all, into Middle-earth and its wholeness. We appear to have time to wait before learning more about Season 2 and Galadriel's part in it, but if history is any guide, we should anticipate returning to Middle-earth in just as dramatic a fashion as we left it." Moving on, what do we know about the lands of Rhûn. In Tolkien's world, the territories of Rhûn, or the East in common tongue, remain undiscovered. The first elves, dwarves, and men awakened in the far east, and most of them journeyed over the Sea of Rhûn to their homes in Middle-earth. Rhûn was populated by the Easterling men, a few dwarven tribes, and elves of the East, known as Avari, during the Second Age. Some Istari have been to Rhûn, but when Saruman returned to Middle-earth, the Blue Wizards chose to stay. In the Second Age, the lands of Rhûn were mostly in upheaval, with various groups battling among themselves, until Sauron could unify them under his control via their hate of the West. At least one Nazgul, Khamûl the Easterling, is a Rhûn native. While the shift in filming site represents a significant milestone for the Lord of the Rings franchise, it also furthers the subject of the emerging storyline. The Rings of Power may take numerous creative liberties with the new Rhûn territories, and the move to the United Kingdom provides the producers plenty of space to experiment with those new liberties. There is no telling what awaits our heroes as the Lord of the Rings of Power, pursues the stranger into the regions of Rhûn. Following that, how will the UK production of Rings of Power alter the show? The United Kingdom, like the realms of Rhûn, is a new territory for the Lord of the Rings franchise. This is why the shift in filming site is so significant. Once the protagonists leave the familiarity of Middle-earth, the production change will underline the unfamiliar places in which they have found themselves. Middle-earth's expansive greenery and dazzling landscape will be exchanged for the gloom and desolation of regions like Mordor and the war-torn kingdoms of Rhûn. The natural environs of the British Isles were also used in Tolkien's original works. Today, the Rings of Power may pay honor to the original Tolkien with a brand new adventure. The Rings of Power Season 2 will still include 8 episodes, as did its predecessor. Next up, the Rings of Power makes Khazad-dûm vital. Tolkien's literature formerly said that Khazad-dûm was destroyed by the Balrog, albeit the rationale was merely attributed to the dwarves going too deep into the mountain. Tolkien's books also revealed that the dwarves continued to mine due to the worth of Mithril. However, the Rings of Power's Mithril retcon, which makes it essential to the lives of the elves as well as the forging of the other Rings of Power, indicates that the show's designers have made Khazad-dûm important to the broader storyline. This not only makes the dwarven metropolis an essential element of the plot and provides it with dramatic stories in the future, but it also allows characters like Durin and Disa to be important in future seasons. Durin and Elrond's connection was one of the most compelling aspects of the Rings of Power Season 1, and it is now something that can be carried further. Furthermore, with the Elrond, Gil-galad, and Celebrimbor storylines intersecting with Galadriel's in the Rings of Power season finale, Khazad-dûm's importance in the plot moving forward allows for a further crossover, with Elrond perhaps presenting Galadriel to the dwarves. This makes sense, since it would remove Galadriel from Eregion, allowing Sauron to re-enter the scene and further influence Celebrimbor into creating the dwarven and human rings, as is known in Tolkien's literature. Finally, Sauron begins his plan in Mordor. At long last, the truth has been exposed, and it turns out that Halbrand is Sauron in disguise. Sauron has made his first step toward becoming the primary nemesis of the Lord of the Rings narrative, as shown by the fact that he has invaded Mordor and was depicted doing so in the finale. However, the series has placed the antagonist in his most famous residence. He does not possess an army, a tower, or anything else necessary to fulfill his destiny, according to the novels. When it comes to the next phase, one possibility is that Barad-dûr, Sauron's major stronghold, will be constructed during the second season of The Hobbit. During this period, he has the opportunity to start assembling an army of orcs, which may or may not include a confrontation with Adar. When it comes to Sauron's role in the fabrication of the several Rings of Power, including the One Ring, this may be another potential topic of discussion for the second season. The crafting of the One Ring by Sauron in the flames of Mount Doom is a critical juncture in the timeline. It is unquestionably an occurrence events that can take place before the conclusion of Rings of Power Season 2. Well, that marks the end of our video for today. We hope you enjoyed it. On your way out, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.